Number 1, determine the scale factor, the center of dilation, and compare the image to the pre-image. So this would be the pre-image because it doesn't have any primes, and this would be my image. If I want to determine the scale factor, I need to count aside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and another side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So if I want to find the scale factor, I would say 6 times what factor equals 18. So my scale factor would have to be 3. Next, I want to find the center of dilation. So to find the center of dilation, I'm going to compare corresponding vertices. So I can compare D and D prime, and I want to draw a line. And I could compare C and C prime, and I want to draw a line. So where the lines cross would be my center of dilation. So that's going to be the x-coordinate is 4, the y-coordinate is 0. That would be my center. And if I wanted to compare the image to the pre-image, I would say the image is larger than the pre-image, and I would say that it is farther from the center of dilation. 2. Identify the transformations, the congruent corresponding angles, and the proportional sides. So if I want to identify the transformations, this is my pre-image, and this would be my image. I notice that it has been rotated, and I would say it's also been dilated. So if I want to compare my rotation, that would be a 90 degrees clockwise. And it's dilated. We got to do the scale factors. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 times 4, or 2 times what factor, equals 4. So my scale factor would be 2, because 2 times 2 equals 4. If I want to list the congruent corresponding angles, remember when you list corresponding angles, you need to use symbols. So I could say A is congruent to A prime. I could say angle B is congruent to angle B prime. Angle C is congruent to angle C prime. And angle D would be congruent to angle D prime. Don't leave out the symbols. And my proportional sides would be AB over A prime B prime equals BC over B prime C prime, CD over C prime D prime, and AD over A prime D prime. So I've done all those. Identify 2 pair of vertical angles. Now remember, vertical angles are angles that are formed by intersecting lines that are across from each other. So I could say angle M is vertical with angle H. Angle M and angle H are vertical. Another vertical pair could be angle J and angle L. Angle J and angle L are vertical angles because they're across from each other. Number 8, identify 2 pair of alternate interior angles. So those would be alternate interior angles always have to be in the middle and on opposite sides of the transversal. So if I use this as my transversal, I could say that my alternate interior angles would be angle T would be alternate interior with angle O. And another pair could be, if I use this transversal, I could say another pair of alternate interiors were P and J, or alternate interior. Number 9, identify two pairs of corresponding angles. Now remember, corresponding angles are angles that are in the same position. One's going to have to be interior and one's going to have to be exterior. So if I use this as my transversal, if I want to identify pairs corresponding, I could say M is corresponding to R. If I found another transversal, I could use this as my transversal. So another pair of corresponding angles could be S is corresponding to B, because one's interior and one is exterior. Identify congruent angles and or proportional sides needed to use the given similarity statement. So if I want to use side angle side, I need to make sure that I use two sides. So I could say this side is 8 and this side is 4. I could say this side's 10 and this side's 5, and the angle in the middle would be A prime. So that would be side, angle, side. Identify congruent angles and or proportional sides needed to use the angle-angle theorem. So if this line's parallel to this line, I could say my corresponding angles were congruent. So that would give me two pairs of congruent angles. Therefore, I can use the angle-angle theorem. Side, side, side. I need three pairs of sides. So if I said this was, let's say 6, 8, and 10, and I dilated that by a scale factor of 2, this would have to be 3, this would have to be 4, and that would be 5. Therefore, I'm comparing 3 pair of sides in both triangles. What is the length of NR? NR goes from here to here, so that would be X. Remember, these are going to be similar triangles because these lines are parallel. So by the angle-angle theorem, they're similar. So I can use my proportional sides. So I could say 9 matches up with 6, and X matches with 4. So if I use my cross products, that's going to give me 36 equals 6X. And to solve for X, I need to divide both sides by a factor of 6. So I know that NR, or X, equals 6. What is the length of DF? Here's DF, so I can put X there. Again, I've got my parallel sides, so my triangles are going to be similar by the angle-angle theorem. So I can set up my proportions. So I could say X over 12 and 6 over 8. And then I'm going to find my cross products. That multiplies to give me 8X. That multiplies to give me 72. To solve for X, I need to use the division property of equality. So I'm going to divide both sides by 8. So X, or DF, is going to equal 9. Next, determine the value of X. So here's the value of X. I can tell that my scale factor is going to be 8 times what number equals 24. So my scale factor is going to be 3. So I'm going to say X times my scale factor of 3 equals 12. So X has to equal 4 if I divide both sides. If I want to find Y, my scale factor is still 3. So I could say Y times 3, it's my scale factor, equals 18. So that would give me Y has to equal 6. So hopefully you look over this. Make sure you study the Pythagorean theorem, which we did a keynote for, and the perpendicular bisector theorem, because both of those will be on the test tomorrow. You can look at that on the class kickoff from Monday.